You've been lying to yourself. Every morning you wake up, hit snooze, scroll through your phone and whisper the same excuse, "I'm just lazy." But here's the truth that will shatter everything you believe about yourself. You are not lazy, you are lost. There's a massive difference. Laziness is a character flaw. Being lost is a navigation problem. And right now, you're wandering through life without a compass, wondering why you can't find the motivation to move. Purpose is the fuel, not discipline, not willpower, not some magical morning routine. Purpose. The ancient philosophers knew this. The psychologists proved it. And today, I'm going to show you exactly why your so-called laziness is actually your soul screaming for meaning. As Albert Camus wrote, "In the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer. That summer is waiting inside you. But first, you need to understand why it's been frozen. The void within. Before you were born, you were nothing. Not sleeping, not waiting, nothing. For 13.8 billion years, the universe existed without you. And after you die, it will continue for billions more. Your existence is a flicker between two infinite darknesses. Most people run from this truth. They bury it under Netflix binges and endless scrolling. They call themselves lazy when really they're terrified. Terrified of the void that waits. But here's what Nietzsche understood that most never will. This meaninglessness isn't a curse. It's the ultimate freedom. If nothing matters cosmically, then nothing is stopping you from creating your own meaning. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. The problem isn't that life has no point. The problem is you've been waiting for someone to hand you a point instead of forging one yourself. You're not lazy. You're empty. And emptiness doesn't need motivation. It needs filling. But what most people fill it with only makes the void deeper. The why beneath. There's a technique that will expose everything you've been hiding from yourself. It's called the 5 whys. You take any goal and ask why 5 times. Watch what happens. Why do you want to be successful? To make money. Why do you want money? To have freedom. Why do you want freedom? To do what I want. Why do you want to do what you want? To be happy. Why do you want to be happy? And here's where most people freeze. Because beneath that question lies something darker. Fear. Fear of being nobody. Fear of living and dying without making a single ripple in the ocean of existence. Fear of being forgotten. You're not chasing success. You're running from insignificance. And that's not shameful, that's human. If this truth is hitting you right now, hit like and subscribe to keep exploring the depths of human motivation. Because understanding this fear is only the beginning. The question is what you do with it. Sisyphus smiles. Albert Camus gave us the most powerful image in philosophy. Sisyphus, condemned by the gods to push a boulder up a mountain for eternity. Every time he reaches the top, it rolls back down. Forever. Most people see this as the ultimate punishment. Camus saw something else entirely. He saw freedom. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Why happy? Because Sisyphus doesn't need the boulder to stay at the top. The pushing is the point. The struggle itself is enough. The climb is the reward. This is what lazy people never understand. They think motivation comes from achieving goals. It doesn't. Motivation comes from having something worth struggling for. Sisyphus isn't happy despite his burden. He's happy because of it. The weight gives his existence meaning. Without the boulder, he would have nothing. And nothing is far heavier than any stone. But there's something even more profound Camus discovered. Blessed suffering. Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz. He watched his wife, his parents, his brother all perish in the camps. He experienced suffering beyond imagination. And from that hell, he emerged with a discovery that revolutionized psychology. Suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it finds a meaning. The prisoners who survived weren't the strongest or the youngest. They were the ones who had something to live for, a child waiting for them, a book to finish, a love to return to. Pain is not the enemy, meaningless pain is. When you have a reason, suffering transforms. It becomes purification. It becomes the price of becoming who you're meant to be. Pressure creates diamonds. Heat forges steel. And purposeful suffering creates character. You're not avoiding work because you're lazy. You're avoiding it because you haven't found work worth suffering for. But here's where most people make a critical mistake. Comfort's trap. Modern society has sold you a lie. The lie says happiness comes from removing all discomfort. Get the perfect job, find the perfect partner, achieve the perfect balance. Then you'll be happy. This is the trap that's destroying you, because comfort doesn't create meaning. It destroys it. The more comfortable you become, the more anxious you feel. The fewer problems you have, the more you invent. This is why the richest people are often the most miserable. They've optimized away every struggle and left themselves with nothing to push against. A man who becomes conscious of the responsibility he bears toward a human being who affectionately waits for him, or to an unfinished work, will never be able to throw away his life. Responsibility isn't a burden, it's an anchor. Pressure is privilege. The weight on your shoulders isn't crushing you. It's the only thing keeping you from floating away into nothingness. But knowing this isn't enough. You need to understand what happens when you finally embrace it. Amor fati. Nietzsche gave humanity one of its most powerful concepts. Amor fati, love of fate, not acceptance, not tolerance, love. Love every moment of your existence. The failures, the heartbreaks, the humiliations. Love them because they made you. Love them because they are yours. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati. That one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. This isn't toxic positivity. This is radical ownership. When you truly embrace your fate, something miraculous happens. The things that paralyzed you become fuel. The past you regretted becomes your teacher. The future you feared becomes your canvas. Your suffering was never wasted. It was preparation. Every lazy day, every missed opportunity, every moment you called yourself a failure, it all led here, to this understanding, to this transformation. But there's one more piece you need. Nothing to lose. Here's the thought experiment that will set you free. You were nothing for billions of years. You will be nothing for billions more. Right now, in this cosmic instant, you exist. Do you understand what this means? You have nothing to lose, absolutely nothing. Every fear you have is based on losing something you never really had. Your reputation, temporary, your money, can't take it with you, your dignity, an illusion, even your life itself is borrowed time. When you have nothing to lose, you have everything to gain. This isn't nihilism. This is liberation. The Stoics called it premeditatio malorum, imagining the worst so you fear nothing. When you've already accepted that everything will be lost, you can finally start living. Fear dies, freedom lives. You're not lazy. You're just terrified of a game you can't actually lose. But there's one final truth that changes everything. The love fuel. Most people pursue greatness from the wrong place. They chase success out of hunger, out of spite, out of fear. And even when they achieve it, they feel empty, because you cannot fill a void with hatred. You cannot build a life on running away. He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. The philosophers understood something profound. The highest form of motivation isn't fear of death. It isn't hunger for success. It's love for life itself. When you pursue growth because you love this one brief existence, everything changes. You don't need discipline because joy is self-sustaining. You don't need willpower because passion is its own fuel. Love your life, and your life will love you back. This is the secret the lazy never discover. Purpose isn't found in achievement. It's found in the loving act of becoming. But how do you actually make this transformation real? The daily push. Philosophy without action is just entertainment. So here's how you apply everything you've learned. 1. Ask the 5 whys every morning. 2. Choose one worthy struggle daily. 3. Embrace discomfort as your teacher. 4. Practice amor fati with every setback. 5. Act from love, not fear. The boulder doesn't push itself. Sisyphus does. Every single day, not because he has to, because he chooses to. Choice creates meaning. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, woke every morning and reminded himself of the difficulties ahead. Not to dread them, to embrace them. Begin each day by telling yourself, today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. He didn't write this to complain. He wrote it to prepare, to transform obstacles into opportunities, to find purpose in the push. And now it's time for your transformation, your one life. You came into this video believing you were lazy. Now you know the truth. You were never lazy. You were purposeless. And purposelessness isn't a character flaw. It's a call to awakening. Awaken. You have one life. One infinitesimal spark between two eternities of nothing. And that spark can either flicker out in comfort and fear, or it can blaze with meaning and purpose. The choice has always been yours. It was always yours. The boulder is waiting. The mountain is waiting. Your purpose is waiting, not given to you by the universe, created by you for you through the beautiful struggle of existence. As Frankl discovered in the darkest place on earth, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Push the boulder today. You now possess what the philosophers spent lifetimes discovering. The void isn't your enemy, it's your canvas. The struggle isn't your punishment, it's your privilege. The meaninglessness isn't your curse, it's your freedom to create meaning. You were born from nothing, and to nothing you will return. But between those infinities, you can be everything. Stop calling yourself lazy. Start asking yourself what's worth suffering for. Find your boulder. Fall in love with the climb. And remember, there is no greater purpose than the one you create with your own hands, your own sweat, your own beautiful struggling existence. If you made it this far, comment boulder pusher to prove you're ready to embrace the climb. The wisdom is yours. Now use it. If this unlocked something in you, subscribe for more wisdom that transforms. The vault has more treasures waiting.